Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how I made this chic, tucked in floating headboard. And I'll show you everything in detail, so it's going to be a little bit lengthy, but if you guys are only interested in certain parts of this DIY, in the description box, I'm going to leave what part starts when, so be sure to check it out. So without further ado, let's continue with this DIY. Okay, so I'm making this headboard for a queen size bed, just in case you guys are interested to know with the measurements. So you're gonna be needing 1/2 inch board, 4 DIY foams, and I'm using this tablecloth fabric, but it's very strong. Upholstery stapler and upholstery nails, and quilt batting. You can check the description box to see where I got these items and the measurements as well. But for all my visual people, I'm starting out by cutting 16 by 24 inches wood panel, and you're gonna need 2 of these for the 2 outsides. For the middle part, it's gonna be 32 by 24 inches, and the thickness is gonna be 1/2 inch for all of them. So once I have the measurements down, I'm gonna mark it and cut them out. For the cutting part, you also have an option of taking your measurements and getting it cut off at the store, just in case you guys are interested to know. Okay, so to give it that tucked in look, for the buttons, these are the measurements. So on the areas where I drew the dark dots are where I'm gonna be drilling the holes. So once I've done that, I'm gonna be making the same measurements for all the other ones, like so, and it's gonna look something like this. Afterwards, all I have to do is make sure it's leveled and drill it. And it should look something like this. So to attach the foam with the board, I'm going to make sure the board is flipped over, and I'm using a glue gun, but you can use something different for sure. This was the only one I had at the time, so I had to use that. But if you're using a glue gun, make sure it's not blocking the holes that you just drilled. So make sure you put the glue around it and then attach the foam to the board. Since I'm making each board individually, the process is going to be the same for the rest as well, except for the middle part. For the middle part, make sure the foams are attached together as much as possible so it can give it that one look instead of it having parted look in the middle. Next, I'm going to place the batting right over the foam and cut it out. But I'm going to make sure I have 1 inch or so left around the edges just so I can have a wiggle room to work with. And then I'm gonna flip everything over and staple it around to keep everything in place. Next, I'm laying the fabric down just to measure how much fabric I will need. Again, I'm also going to leave 1 inch or 1/2 inch extra more fabric than that I would need, just in case. And then I'm going to cut it out and staple it as well. So it's the same process, so I skipped it. For the corners though, I try to make it as neat as I can, and to keep it in place, I did add a lot more staple than the other areas. So it was at this point that I realized I forgot to buy the buttons. So I had to improvise. So I had these leftover fabric cutouts from earlier on, so I'm just using that and cutting pieces of it. And thankfully I found these circular wooden beads in my craft box. So I'm using it so it can give me that button kind of look. To make the button, I'm putting the bead on top of the fabric, and I apply glue around the bead and bring the fabric close to the middle so it can attach to the glue and the fabric at the same time. And once it's all together, I'm just cutting the edges out, but I make sure there's a little bit of space in between. For the next part, I'm going to be showing you guys. So this is how the buttons turn out. I only made as much as I could, but I didn't have enough for every hole that I drilled earlier on. But we're gonna make it work, right? We're gonna make it work. Okay, so on to the next thing. So I'm just using this crocheting thread to make the loop at the end of the button. It's pretty strong and sturdy, so I'm using that and a needle to make the loop so it can help me attach later on. The next step is to make the headboard look tucked in. So I don't have that long upholstery needles, so I'm just using this crocheting needle and the same thread that I just used, but I make a lot more loop out of it to make it a lot more strong, something like this. So I'm using the hook from the crocheting needle, and I'm using that to pull the thread in from the back to the front. And I attach it to the button that I just made, like so. If you want, you can go ahead and make the loop pass through a lot more times, but it's pretty strong enough by itself. So once it's nice and attached from the front, I'm gonna pull it from the back to make it strong. You can also use the staple gun to hold on to the thread from the back, so it will make your work easier. And then again, in another hole, I'm gonna put the needle from the front and basically follow the same process that I just explained to you guys. So like I mentioned to you guys earlier, I don't have enough buttons. So for the two pieces on the outside, I have 4 each, and for the middle part, which is the bigger side, I have 8 buttons all together on it. So this is how the back of it is gonna look like. To add a little bit more pizzazz, I'm using these silver upholstery nails, and I use 2 packs of it for the top and the 2 sides, and I'm slightly hammering them in a few inches apart. So to hang this headboard and make it look like it's floating, I'm using these corner braces. They come with their own screw. I use 4 on top and 4 at the bottom, and make sure the 3 parts are close together and leveled, and then basically use a screwdriver to screw the corner braces on the wall and also one on the headboard for each area. Basically that's it, guys. I hope you guys like this video and find it helpful if you guys are looking for something that is related to this. I love how it turned out, and I can easily take it apart or put it back together. So if you're the type of person that likes to move around, this might be the perfect headboard for you. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.